Episode 3 is underway.
Ready.
Do a little something different for this week and get into college football. Will, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. It's first off good to be back.
Welcome back, bro.
Wyoming was nice. Better than this Texas weather.
I would imagine.
We told everyone you died.
Oh,
so.
I mean, may as well have. No, but the only thing I want to bring up for college this week is the South Florida and Alabama game. Because that is atrocious for Alabama to be tied at 3 at halftime with South Florida. It's just terrible.
An unranked team that isn't really a big school either.
Against this dynasty that has been built over years. So, and I mean, the main play that just comes to mind is South Florida's running back just absolutely destroying the Bama linebacker. Like he's nothing. Man needed some milk after that.
Yeah, that was a little embarrassing for Bama.
Heck, I was enjoying that. I kind of wish South Florida actually took the victory that day. I would have had something to rub in my aunt's face.
What baffles me is the fact that, and I know the quarterback that played against Texas I can't remember his name, but I know he didn't start this game, but they still went through two different quarterbacks in that game. It's like, I don't know if Bama knows what they're doing for a quarterback anymore.
Well, last I heard, they're going to start Milroe. That's the guy who started the last two games before South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to start him against Ole Miss, but he might be a little rough because Bama's got no O-line, I've noticed. Like, in the last 3 games they played this season, their O-line has allowed the most sacks in the SEC, which is crazy to think about. Yeah, very interesting. And while they haven't thrown a lot of turnovers, they haven't been able to execute on offense very well. So, and South Florida, granted, they started 2 different quarterbacks, which is really funny if you think about it. But at the same time, they're just not executing it very well. So that's got to be driving Saban nuts if you think about it. So, I mean, if they really want to, and they got Ole Miss at home, that's my Rebs. If they really want to beat the Rebs, they better hope their offense clicks because they got a good defense, but Ole Miss has got a really good offense. So, of course, we got to get our playmakers back, which I won't touch at the moment. But yeah, that's all I got.
Well, for my thing I wanted to highlight was LSU's day against Mississippi State. A record-breaking day for quarterback Jaden Daniels, beating the school record for a completion percentage in a game, beating out people like Joe Burrow and our receiver Neighbors. With 10 minutes left in the first half, he had 9 receptions for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Wow, that's crazy.
If he can keep up with those kind of numbers and the same ability he's shown in that game, I think we might have the next Justin Jefferson on our hands.
Well, y'all better hope so. You better hope that he doesn't choke against my Rebs.
Hey, that's 2 weeks.
That is true.
I also want to highlight a specific play from the game with our running back who absolutely bulldozed a Mississippi State defender to get the first down. I think he gave that man a concussion.
Let's requote that. Not only did he bulldoze that defender, he then proceeded to stand over the defender and complete and utter disrespect.
Of which the running back is like a foot shorter. And other than that, I believe we all wanted to say some things about the Colorado and Colorado State game because, good Lord.
Man, I didn't say it for the whole game, but I say it for the first half, and I could already tell this game was going to go down the wire the way both teams were going at it.
Yeah.
But I will say Colorado State, they played dirty, especially that one guy. I don't remember his name, but he's the one who laid out the massive hit on on Travis Hunter, who plays for
Mhm.
Colorado. Man, that was just dirty. You could tell it was
I've
intentional.
seen people talking about how, like, I've seen two sides of the argument there. I've seen people saying it was a dirty hit and that he should have been ejected, which honestly I kind of feel like that should have happened. And I've seen
Yeah, I
people
agree.
saying I don't see what they're seeing with that. They say like it's a clean hit. He should just get back up and go out there. Uh,
This is no way. I
from
mean,
what I'm
I'm
seeing
so
though, the ball hit the ground. I don't know, about 5 feet in front of him, and it was on the ground for a couple seconds before that guy ran over and shoulder checked him out of bounds.
hmm
There was no need for that.
Sadly, and I hate to bring this up because this is what it reminds me of, but it reminds me of the no call in the 2019 NFC Championship game with uh Tommy Lee Lewis getting hit by that Rams cornerback, and they didn't throw a flag. That's kind of what it reminded me of, but
Well,
obviously a
it's to
less
a lesser
contact of a
extent.
hit.
It's to a lesser extent because they did throw a flag for a late hit, but something should have
Yeah.
been done to that player for doing something like that
Oh, I
because
agree.
Hunter was out for the rest of the game and probably
He
for
was sent
another
to
few weeks.
Yeah, he was sent to the ER, and I don't know if y'all know this, but he had a lacerated liver from that
Yeah,
contact.
that's a little
Y-
much.
Yeah, so they should have ejected that guy, worse at the very least. I'm glad he threw the penalty, but at the same time, you should have been ejected because that
He
was
did get
clearly a targeting.
Colorado did get their revenge on him though, on a deep pass. I think it was. I can't remember the receiver that caught the ball, but
Yeah, I
he
don't either.
juked that man and sent him flying like he was on ice.
Man, yeah, when I saw the second half highlights of that, I was like, "Good job, bravo!" I'll slow clap you that one.
Yeah, our time that game did not end till like 1 o'clock in the morning, if not a little bit after, because
Yeah.
2 periods of overtime.
Yeah, I really wanted to stay up for that game, but I had to serve church in the morning, so I was like, I'll catch the rest of it the next morning.
Yeah,
Didn't realize that game was going to go to overtime, double overtime. Excuse me, man.
yeah,
Kind of
probably the
wish I
best
did.
game of the week.
Oh, definitely by far.
And speaking of the week, NFL Week 3.
Choke jobs and heart attacks.
A
That's
lot
what I
of
call it.
comebacks for some of these teams, but that'll come later. Let's
Yes.
start with Thursday night, the Vikings and Eagles. This is
Uh,
the Vikings story so far seems to be they're putting up numbers, they just can't finish the game.
the thing that killed them in
It's the
this
same as
game.
the Chargers.
Yeah. The thing that killed them in this game was all those fumbles. I think
Yeah.
they had 4 fumbles and lost every single one of them. That's what killed them in this game, and the game looks closer than it seems, but it was really no contest with the Eagles. They had them dominated all the way through, and stat wise, they didn't really have to do a whole lot. Like Jalen Hurts didn't have to throw a lot. He had 18 for 23, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Was sacked 4 times, but his running back, DeAndre Swift, had 28 carries, 175 yards
That man
for a
single-handedly
Ooh,
destroyed my fantasy team this week.
man. Like
And
he was
y'all
just
picked the Vikings to win.
oh we don't
Well,
clutch, clutch.
they have the offense to win that kind of game because Kirk Cousins 364 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, like he had the
Justin
Yeah,
stats
but
that
Justin
it's not the
Jefferson was
offense
11
that's the
for
problem.
Justin Jefferson was
Yeah.
11 for 159. The only thing is for the Vikings, they didn't have a running game. It was non-existent.
they really didn't.
I gotta go with Paulo here and put a stop to the Kirk Cousins hate because offense is one side of the ball. You're laughing. It's okay to laugh. I'll take that because 346 passing yards, right? But what the other teams outscored them. Why? Because the defense is atrocious.
Yes.
They
Yes.
still put up
Defense
28
bottom
points.
5 or
They
something
still
like
put up
that.
28 points against arguably either the first or second best defense in the league. Still 28 points. They lost by 6 points, by 1 touchdown. Why can't the
Despite
defense
all the
stop them?
fumbles.
Everyone is so hard on Kirk Cousins and the work that he has done in the first 2 weeks.
Which
Of the
I gotta
season,
say
him and
there, Will, I don't
Jettas.
know if you're siding with Paulo with that, because that man was talking about the Eagles were gonna win. He was saying that
Well,
they weren't
he
Yeah.
gonna
said the
do
Eagles were
well.
going to win,
Me?
but
Yeah, you were
Yeah, well,
Paulo was
saying
of
the
about
course
to
the
Eagles.
Eagles
say,
were gonna
Paulo
win.
was
Yeah,
about to say it.
but
He was gonna
Will
say
not
Will
Kirk
was
Kirk's
did
fault,
saying
stuff.
that
though.
Exactly.
he's going with you on that about stopping the Kirk Cousins hate. I don't know if Paulo's saying anything
true.
about that.
I
But yeah,
don't hate Kirk Cousins.
well,
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you for
neither do I, but
agreeing with me because that's what he was going to say. The defense is the issue. The defense can't stop the other team's offense from scoring. Obviously, you're not going to win. You can put up 6 freaking touchdowns in a
Yeah,
game,
I said that
and,
last
and
week. I
and if
was
the
like,
defense
the
doesn't stop the
Vikings
other
defense
team,
aren't gonna stop the Eagles.
exactly, you can't do anything if your defense can't stop the other team. You can put up as many points as you
Yeah.
want, but if that other team continues to score and outscore you, what does it really come down to? You can go touchdown for touchdown, but if that team gets the ball last and scores one final touchdown, whose fault is it? We're going to
Yeah, it's
continue to
just
blame
like
the
Justin
quarterback?
Herbert and the Chargers both of these weeks. The Chargers have put up big points both of these weeks too, but they can't stop anyone on defense.
save that for when we get to that game.
Yeah. Although, should is this a bad time to add that Kirk Cousins is a well-known choke artist in primetime games?
We know this,
Yeah.
but still,
Now is a bad time to say that because he didn't choke this week.
no,
did
he
good
didn't
this
choke
week.
this. Like, despite all the problems their offense had with the fumbles, they still managed to get that close. It's just
This is
like
true.
Tell
Will
me-
said, the
Tell me
defense.
if this sounds like choking. Yeah, tell me if this sounds like choking. 31 for 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Where does it sound like he's choking? And what position
Yeah.
is he choking? Where?
Well, I don't know if
Yeah,
He
this
literally
choking.
didn't
He-
turn over the ball.
I don't think choking's
Where's
the
he
word to
choking at?
describe it there. I think it's more of like he usually doesn't perform well in prime time, which he kind of disproved Thursday night. He
Hey,
did
what happened
phenomenal
last year
for the
and the
most
years
part.
prior is the history of Kirk Cousins, not the present.
Yes.
Exactly. We're going off of past. We're talking right now,
they
the
had
first
a-
2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, if they had a run game, Vikings would have won this game.
Yeah. If they didn't
'Cause
fumble
they
so
had,
much,
Yeah, you're
what, like
specifically,
12 yards on the ground?
specifically, if that fumble by Justin Jefferson at the goal line didn't happen, I think it would have been at least like either a field
At lea-
goal or like an overtime game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm looking here to see who the Vikings play next week. The Chargers.
Yeah, like Paul
Yeah,
said,
this
run
is
game.
gonna be
Let's look at the ru-
this is
let's look
gonna
at the
be an
run game.
interesting
This is
one.
going to be the craziest game.
Yeah,
All offense, no defense.
exactly.
Like Paul said, the run game. If the Vikings had a run game, this is their 2 running backs, right? Alexander Madison, 8 for 28, no touchdowns. That is atrocious. 3.5 yards average. Ty Chandler, 1 carry, 0 yards. What you know what I'm saying? Like you got to dive into this because there is absolutely no run game whatsoever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm surprised they didn't.
They got
decide
Cam
to-
Akers, though, so maybe that's going to change.
Oh, that's right.
Is that what
I
you
was
were
about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that, but you're right. I feel like they just picked them up today, so
That probably happened because of this past performance. They were like, nah, we can't keep doing this. We got to get someone else.
I want to say though, despite the poor performance by Madison, the death threats that this man is getting after that
oh my
game
gosh,
is a
yeah, that
little
was
much.
uncalled for.
That's a
That
little
was
much,
uncalled
people.
for. I tell you, some people just can't separate
death
their
threats?
fandom.
Yeah, he got death threats, and like he also had some screenshots from messages people were sending him on Twitter, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bring up anything from that because they were pretty bad. But still,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff's
Yeah,
uncalled
I mean,
for.
that's not new, though. Like, Eli Apple had that happen. Even if it was like, even if he did mess up, like, everyone's got that every now and again.
Yeah, but like y'all know me, I despise Eli Apple, but I ain't gonna send that man a death threat over a game.
Yeah, that's just uncalled for.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, we may hate the guy because he talks a lot of trash and he can't back it up, but at the same time, he's also another human being. So we gotta treat him
yeah,
like another human being. And some people just can't find a way to separate that from their fandom to their horrible, horrible beliefs they got.
yeah.
So
We we'll get into another example of people not being able to separate that, but that'll come later on here. Uh, but I think we all are in agreement here. The Vikings' main problem is the lack of defense, and the story's going to be they're going to put up the
Defense and run.
numbers. They're going to put up numbers for the rest of the season, but if the defense can't do anything to stop the other teams, they might be screwed.
Defense.
Yes, I misspoke.
yes.
I know.
Yeah, if they don't get their run game or the defense in sync with that passing offense of theirs, they're screwed.
Yeah, the
It's
Eagles,
kind of like
on the other
Yeah.
hand, the Eagles still look pretty good. I don't know if they haven't really played, from what I've seen, a top tier defense yet. So I'm waiting on that to get a better feel for how they do.
who do they got next? Do you know?
The Eagles. Let me
Washington.
look.
It's
Oh,
gonna
Oh,
be
Washington.
That might be
they play Washington. Yeah.
That-
that'd be a good
Washington gave them
test.
their first loss last
That might
last
be
year,
a
so who
decent,
knows?
a somewhat decent
Yeah.
challenge for him. I think that might be.
That was also with Taylor Heineke, not Sam Howell.
Yeah.
True.
Because Sam Howell is still trying to figure it out, but
Moving on to the next game though. Packers Falcons. Jeez, man.
Talk about choke artist. Like
no, we're not at
you
choke artist yet.
Well,
Not
the
yet.
Packers had this pretty. The Packers, for the most part of this game, had this well in the bag, but then they just let the Falcons just creep back in, and next thing you know, bam, the Falcons took the game away.
Yeah.
But so I kind of say Green Bay choked this one away because they could have won this game easily. Atlanta's not that good. Their record may be 2-0, but they're really not that good. I mean, Desmond Ritter, he had 19 for 32, 237, one touchdown, and one interception. I mean, no fumbles granted, but they were that in that game alone, it was their running game that kept them
Yeah.
in this game.
Bijan
Green Bay could
Robinson with
not.
124 yards on 19 carries.
Yeah, that dude is a
But I
beast.
mean, that's how it is though. If you got a good run game, you're gonna be kind of dangerous to some
And
teams.
granted, for
Yeah, because
Desmond
this is
Ritter,
another
for Ritter, like 273 yards isn't terrible. That's actually, he did more
Yeah,
than
It's
Jordan
decent.
Love
It's
did.
pretty good.
yeah.
Well,
But the
okay,
one-
yeah, he may have had you're right. He had more. He had 80 more passing yards, right? Love has 3 touchdowns to a 1-to-1 ratio, a touchdown and interception ratio. But
Yeah,
the
but
Packers is another team
if I'm
looking
right,
at their rushing stats.
didn't Love rush for 2 of those? Or no?
No, he passed for 3. He's 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
I thought I saw him
Yeah.
rush for at least one,
If you
but
look at
I can't
this
remember.
is Packers is another team. You
It
look
might
at
have been
their
a
rushing
2-point conversion.
Possibly.
and look at the rushing. AJ Dillon, 15 carries, 55 yards, going absolutely nowhere. Love had 2 rushes for 23 yards. And you
Yeah.
look at the two, their backup running backs. You got Emmanuel Wilson 3 for 5, and Patrick Taylor 1 for 1. That's
yeah,
another team that the quarterback is making throws, throwing touchdowns, but no support from the run game.
Yeah, but Aaron Jones was out, so Jordan Love had to do
Yeah.
that in the air. They didn't have the run game to rely on
Yep.
as much this game. Whereas Desmond Ritter doesn't really need to do a whole lot in the air because their run game is like one of the best right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
So-
have 3 solid running backs back there in that field.
Yeah.
Algier, Bijan, and Cordell Patterson when Patterson's healthy.
I hate that considering I hate the Falcons so much, but yeah, I gotta give him props where it's needed.
Yeah, the
But-
run game's going to be the biggest thing for them going forward.
Yeah. One thing I noticed is Jordan Love last week, he played really well, and granted, he did throw more touchdowns than Desmond Ritter, but he kind of underperformed in a way. So it's like he started off okay, then he just fizzled out. So that's the one thing that's got me a little bit concerned about him, and that's what I've seen from him before, is that he starts strong and then he sort of fizzles out towards the end of the game. So when it, of course, we'll get to this when we would make our week 3 predictions. How will you do that against a really top tier defense the Saints got when they play the Saints?
Yeah.
So, but again, we'll touch up on that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah,
game
I
to
mean,
watch,
this is
though.
it's kind of another one of those defensive things, in my opinion, is when your
Mhm.
defense doesn't back you, you don't have a good
Yeah.
backing defense. I mean, 235 passing yards the defense allowed, 211 rushing yards. You know, that does not help your cause
Mm-mm.
whatsoever. You can start off
I
strong.
also
The
I also
offense can
want to
start
point
off really
out, though,
strong, but if your defense just does not hold up throughout the game, it's a lot of wear and tear on the offense. It's a lot of, it brings down the morale of the team when you don't have that
Mhm.
other side of the ball helping you.
That is true.
I also want to point out that in the fourth quarter of this game, looking at the drives that they had, Green Bay did not get anywhere in the fourth quarter. Punt, and a turnover on downs.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The
they
Falcons
just
the
played.
Falcons defense locked them up.
Yeah, they just became one dimensional after that. Like they just couldn't do nothing in for the majority of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So if they play like that against a really good Saints defense coming up, they're gonna have a lot of problems.
Next game we have the Bills and Raiders. Oof.
Yeah,
Bills
that
bounced
was.
back hard, destroyed the Raiders.
They took
I
that
saw
loss
this.
personal.
Oh yeah, I saw this coming a mile away. I knew the Raiders were no match. They just had a lucky win against
Well,
the
this one,
Broncos.
I know we've been the theme of this so far has been the run game being weak, but this one's worse. Josh Jacobs, 9 rushes for
Ooh,
-2.
I feel
How
bad for
does your
anyone who has
starter
them on
rush 9
fantasy.
times?
He had
Yeah,
more
how does your,
receiving
your
yards.
star running back?
He had 5 receptions for 51.
Mm,
How does your star running back rush for -2 yards?
I don't know.
O-line and Bills have a strong
But
defense.
that's the thing,
Just
follow.
can't.
There's 2 more rushers, and Garoppolo was above him on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well,
at the
I
same
mean, when you've
time,
got negative
Garoppolo rushed
yards, all
more.
Garoppolo needs is to slide once.
Yeah,
How
he's
many
got
yards does he
1.
have?
He only
Garoppolo has 1.
he rushed for one
Oh, well,
yard though.
that's nothing.
We've got Tucker, who rushed once for 34, and White, who rushed 4 times for 22. Jacobs had 9, the most out of any of them, for -2 yards.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, this was a revenge game for Buffalo after
Oh
week
yeah.
1. And they
Making a
just
statement, in other
unfortunately
words.
had to take it out to the Raiders. Yeah, I mean Allen 31 of 37, 274 and 3 touchdowns.
And
Not
also,
only that, to pair with a
Garoppolo
running game like theirs, James Cook
Garoppolo could have
17 for
played better in
123.
this.
Hmm.
I mean,
He
they had every aspect of the offense firing, passing and rushing, and that's what it looks like. When you can throw for almost
Yeah.
300 and then have a running back rush for another 100 plus, that's the combination you're looking for.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Granted, it's against the Raiders defense.
Yeah. Another like bottom barrel defense.
Exactly. But that's what it
Hey,
should look like.
hey, they'll take it any way they can, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not really worried about Josh Jacobs. Like in comparing it to like Minnesota, like I know what Josh Jacobs is and what he can do. Madison, not so much. So in terms of like bouncing back, I know Josh Jacobs is gonna have big games this year, even if this wasn't one of them.
I mean, shoot,
Yeah.
he produced really well last year, um, behind a relatively pathetic offense, and he was like one of the leading backs in the NFL. I don't remember stat for stat, but he was definitely among the top 10 best running backs, and I can vouch for that because I had him on 2 different fantasy teams last year, and he got me the most points.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
just the Bills came out in this game and made a statement that this is the Bills you know, at least
Oh,
from
yeah.
the past couple years.
Yeah, but are they
Yeah.
gonna stay that way?
Yeah.
Because they haven't been lately. So can they
Let
keep it
me
together,
see
or are they gonna fluctuate?
who is their next opponent. Let me look here.
They play the
Bills.
Commanders this week.
No, the Eagles do.
Yeah.
No, the Bills
Wait,
do.
no.
What the hell?
Will's right. Paulo, what was you talking about earlier? You giving us false information.
The Eagles play the
I
Bucks.
might have been. Who did the Eagles play the Bucks? Yeah,
Bruh.
that's right. Oh
They play
yeah,
the Bucks.
that's right.
Man,
Okay.
come on,
Well,
bro.
Fake news. Fake
Hey,
news.
look, y'all got it in front of you. I'm doing this at the back of my brain, so go ahead.
Paulo.
But still, I think that one might end up being a somewhat closer game. Because the Commanders' defense, it's not the best, but it's not terrible. It's not as bad as the
It's good enough
Raiders,
to
in my
make some
opinion.
plays.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Commanders' defense is definitely going to give him more trouble than the Raiders.
But
It wouldn't surprise me.
I think the main thing
What?
to take away from this is that the Bills are pretty much back to what they were after that stumble in Week 1.
Yeah, they're probably telling
Hey,
themselves
it's been
that.
one game. I'm not ready to say that
That's why I said somewhat.
because they didn't finish last year very good, the Bills. So I need at least 2 or 3 games to know the Bills are back.
Yeah.
If
So
Josh
to-
Allen starts throwing picks again, then
Let's also keep in mind that the last game they played in was against a divisional opponent, and we all know how divisional opponent games go
Yeah,
down. It's
they could be a terrible team and still beat you.
exactly. It's like with Saints and Falcons. Every time we play those bastards, no matter how bad or how good they are, or how bad or good we are, it's always a fist fight to the end. So that's what we got with the Bills and Jets that week. So
Yeah.
it didn't surprise me that the Bills came out on top largely against the Raiders, and I would expect them to do it again against the Commanders, pending how good the Commanders play against them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So
But moving on to the next game, this one, Ravens and Bengals. Jeez.
I gotta say,
it was
First
Joe,
half was rough for the
yeah,
Bengals.
Joe Burrow looked terrible. I mean,
At least in the first half, I'll agree. I
yeah,
think he ended the first half with like somewhere around 30 passing yards or something like that. But he comes back in after halftime and ends the game with 222 yards and 2 touchdowns.
yeah, he definitely made up for it in the
Yeah.
second half. But at the first half, I was seriously concerned. I was like, "What is wrong with him?"
He got rolling. It just took too long for it to happen.
Yeah, that's the sad part. And then on the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson, he looked better this week.
Yeah.
24 for 33, 237 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then on top of that, he had 12 carries for 54 yards. Yeah, he looked like himself this time, unlike last week where he looked absolutely terrible, but they still came out with a W. Granted, it was against a pretty lowly Houston team, but other than that, even Houston gave him fits. So
Easy.
hey, Houston bottom barrel again this year.
Hey, hold up.
Listen here. Hey, trust the process. Trust the process. But I think the biggest takeaway from this Bengals Ravens game, one of the biggest players to come out of it. I mean, Jamar had a rough week because Burrow had a rough week, but let's talk about that T. Higgins bounce back.
It
Oh, yeah.
almost feels
8 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. The only 2 touchdowns Burrow throws.
yeah, it
are
almost
to
feels
Higgins.
like Jamar was used as a decoy, so Higgins was open on the other side.
Paulo, you're welcome.
That's what's going to happen though on any team. Any team that has a star receiver like that. I mean, your other playmakers, they're going to be open because
Yeah.
they're being double teamed, triple teamed, and coverage. Yeah, people are going to get open.
I
Paulo, you
think
should be thanking me for having me trading you for T. Higgins.
you both got something
Yeah,
out of that. You
yeah.
had
Yeah.
He should be thanking you, but he left him on the bench, so
yeah,
that's all that
he
matters.
left
You
Higgins
can
on the
make a trade
bench,
and not
and you
start him.
had Mostert out of the deal and left him on the bench.
Well, see, I didn't think he'd produce against a really tough Patriots defense, which we'll get into later. But still, I didn't expect that to have that kind of game. So I
Yeah.
guess I now know for now on to make sure he's in my starting lineup.
But one thing I am definitely noticing this year with the Bengals is their defense is not amazing. It's not.
Yeah,
I say it's like middle of the pack.
they're kind of getting run over. The last two teams, obviously Baltimore and then the Browns. They keep getting run over, and that's not a good sign for them. It's like they started to regress a little bit, and you're not going to win games if your defense starts regressing. Trust me. As a Saints fan, I've seen some really bad defenses in the past, and that doesn't look good.
Yeah. I do want to say though, one thing that Cincinnati's improved with, I think, might be that O line.
True.
Burrow only got sacked once this game, and I believe only twice last week.
Yeah, that's a good sign, but at the same time, they need to make sure that offense is flowing and not getting
Yeah,
stopped on
they're having
third
some
down.
issues, I think, with play calling this season. I don't know if y'all have seen the meme going around of the coach only knows 4 plays and one of them is punt.
I think that sounds pretty familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to get back to their old selves, which it looked like they were getting back to in the second half. But after the game, when you find out Burrow might have aggravated that calf injury again,
Yeah,
it
hopefully it's not serious,
it
but
might be a struggle for a little bit more. But this tells me they're getting back on the right track for what you'd expect from them.
yeah, like you said, like last week, they usually have a slow start, so it wouldn't surprise me if they start picking up the pace
Yeah, last year
and
it
start
happened the
winning
exact same
games.
way, 0-2, and then they started winning.
Yeah, so I think the Bengals, despite taking a really close loss this time, will be just fine.
Yeah, they play the
So
Colts next week, or this coming week, I should say.
yeah,
Which the Colts, as we've seen, are better than people thought. But I
yeah,
still think
they're kind of
if the Bengals play like they did in the second half, that should be relatively easier.
yeah for the Colts. Actually, we'll talk about that later once we get
Yeah.
to there.
To sum it up, Baltimore looks good. The Bengals are starting to get on the right track, just not there yet.
Yeah, agreed.
I want this thing load. Okay.
What do we got? Seahawks and Lions
Lions,
next.
Seahawks. I don't know what is happening
Man,
with these two teams, but the past, like, I think 2 or 3 years, this has been a fight between these two. I think the score this past week was 37-31. Last year, I think, was like 40,
it
48,
was 40.
45, something like that.
Yeah, something like yeah. Or, no, actually, no. I think it was 45-38.
Regardless, it was a close game then, too, and a pretty high scoring one. For some reason, these two teams, when they went against each other the past couple years,
It's like they just leave their defense
it's a
alone.
shootout.
Right. It's like their defense takes a. They're both teams' defenses just sit it this one out and let their offenses fall out. Like it was
I
left and right a shootout.
Yeah, I will say though that for the Lions, they lost C.J. Gardner Johnson for the season
Oh, really?
with a pectoral, I think.
Ooh, I didn't know
So
that.
he's on injured reserve right now. That's
Dang,
that's a significant hit to their defense because that man was a lockdown.
dang! I had no idea he went down. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I
Jeez,
I
that
don't
guy's had
know
nothing but run luck.
I don't know how much of the game he played, but if he was out for the majority of that game, I can see why the defense didn't perform quite as
Yeah.
well.
One thing for sure, and of course I'm taking a jab at the Falcons with this, but I think Geno Smith's gonna be cursed the next game because he got the cursed digits.
Yep.
If we all know what the
I see I see his passing yards,
yeah
328.
41 yeah 32 for 41, 328, 2 touchdowns.
Which
Yeah, he screwed the next game.
Gino looked pretty good in this game. This looks more like the Gino we saw last year than
Yeah,
what we saw against the Rams week 1.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
it was
know.
definitely a good bounce back game for him.
Yep.
Because did not look too good in that week 1 opener at all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but
But this is another good example though of all aspects of your offense firing. I mean, for both teams really, both quarterbacks throwing for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns for Smith and 3 for Goff, and then both running backs doing work. Kenneth Walker with 43 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Montgomery with 67 yards and a touchdown. So I mean, that's all your aspects of your offense that you need flowing to
yeah.
work together. It takes pressure off of one and the other, opens up receivers, open up run lanes, back and forth for both the offenses. But
Didn't
like we
Montgomery
said,
get
both
hurt in this
defenses
game?
do not perform. Yeah,
Montgomery is hurt as well too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another running back down. Put it on the board. We're up to 10
Yep.
running
This
backs.
year's been bad for running backs.
Yeah.
But
It was a pretty good game. I didn't get to see like a lot of it because fucking blackouts. You don't get to see the games you want.
right.
But I think
Not
it
a
was
lot of
a pretty good fight between both teams.
Yeah.
Here.
Not a lot of turnovers in this game. I mean, 3 from the Lions. 2 fumbles lost and an interception.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
other
I
than
think
that, I mean, very low sacks. The Lions got 2 and the Seahawks got 1. So I mean, does that say the defenses are that poor, or that the offenses are just that great? Not a lot to really measure on
well
for
for the
their defenses,
Seahawks,
just high scoring.
I'd say for the Seahawks case in terms of defense, I think their offense is definitely better than their defense, despite getting manhandled by the Rams last week. But for the Lions, I think their defense is significantly better than the Seahawks, and they have an offense to complement it. They just, of course, not every defense is gonna have a perfect day. They're gonna have those days where they just get absolutely run over by the opposing team. So I would vouch that the Lions have a pretty decent defense. They're not elite or anything like that, but they're decent enough to make enough stops. Sadly, unfortunately, it did not pan out for against the Seahawks because the Seahawks got opportunistic on the Lions with turnovers that pretty much helped them seal the deal with this victory.
Yeah. Overall, though, I think both teams are pretty decent.
Yes,
Despite one win, one loss.
yeah, I agree.
Let's move on to the next one on the list here. This one Will probably has something to say about the Texans and Colts.
Listen,
There we go.
Listen here. Hey, we scored the same amount of points as the Saints. Is all I'm saying. So you
Hey,
keep that
now.
laughter to yourself. Hey, I mean,
Yeah, but
Paulo's
whose
laughing. He
defense stopped
started
the
it.
other team?
Hey,
Oh,
against
boy,
a
here we go.
Panthers very offensive team.
Oh,
Anyways,
so suddenly the Colts are a very offensive team.
No,
this
I'm-
definitely it definitely hurts. Even with their starting quarterback going out, you still have Gardner Minshew as a backup who, at his time in Jacksonville, did pretty well for a starter. Never not listed as like a top quarterback. He was a mid-pack quarterback when he did start, but I mean, when you have a backup like that, I mean, your offense is going to continue to produce, and Houston has a lot of struggles. Yes, we know.
Yeah,
Yep.
like you were telling me
But it's a young
earlier.
team, man.
Like you were telling me
Super young.
earlier this week. O
Hey,
line.
it's a young team. It's a rebuild process. New head coach.
You were
I'm not gonna
telling
make
me earlier
excuses
this
for 'em.
week,
I mean,
Will,
they're
the O line
professionals.
is kind of screwing y'all
Oh,
over.
God, don't even. Yeah, the number of
6
injuries that we
sacks
have on
allowed.
the O line is. Yeah, we have atrocious numbers on sacks here, but you have 3 starters out, and then one gets
But
hurt a game, then you're back to third string. I mean,
on the
it's hard to
bright
piece
side with
together an
that,
O line.
despite all those sacks, CJ Stroud 384 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's
Yeah,
really good.
even with the way being 0-2, like the picture Jose so kindly shared with us earlier today in our group chat, is being 0-2. Stroud is still top 5 in passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Collins is the 5th receiver in receiving yards, being 0-2. I mean, there's a lot of potential. Obviously, it's there. It's showing. But
But you
O-line
still got a
is
long way
god
to go.
awful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a super young team. It really is. I mean, it's a complete rebuild once again. New head coach, new coordinators here and there, and just super young. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have, a big name receiver or a big name running back. We're working with what we have. Unlike some of these other teams who do have some of these bigger players, you know. Take
Granted,
what you get.
Dameon Pierce is not a terrible running back to have, but he
No,
needs some
by no
help.
means.
He needs
No,
He
help.
was
he's
the
good. He
leading
just can't get
rusher
going.
he was the leading rusher as a rookie last year until he got hurt. And you're right, he can't get going because there's no O line, there's no holes created for him to get through. As soon as
Yeah, like
15 carries on 31 yards. 2 yards a carry is terrible for a running back who a year ago was the leading rusher up until his injury. That doesn't just happen because of him. There's there's factors into that. I mean, it's rough.
yeah,
And it's not going to get better next week, unfortunately. We have Jacksonville, and their defense is
Yep.
middle of the pack, in my opinion. They're not at the top. They're not at the bottom.
yeah.
I
They
feel
kept
like
it
that's a
close with
sneaky game
KC.
though, because y'all
Yeah,
beat Jacksonville last year though, and Jacksonville was pretty good, and
yeah,
y'all were pretty terrible. So it
yeah.
could
I
be a
mean, it goes.
sneaky win for y'all.
It
Jacksonville
really could be.
Jacksonville
Jacksonville has
has
their
some
moments.
issues, but I'll touch on those when we get to that game.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think that one is going to be in our favor because it's in Jacksonville.
Mm,
I'm not real big on away games. A lot of times away games are won by the home team.
do
So I don't
that.
have high hopes for it. Would it be nice to come away with a win in Jacksonville? Of course. My hopes are not really there. They're just not. Hey,
Reasonable.
I'm true to my team, but there's also reality.
This is true.
Yeah, fair.
The determining factor in that is going to be, does the O line step up and actually do something? But
If you got a genie, probably.
on the other side, though, the Colts, they weren't terrible. Anthony Richardson, 6 out of 10 for 56 before he got injured.
Yeah, and then
He also
They weren't
had
terrible
rushed.
either of these weeks.
Let's see.
Yeah.
He also rushed 3
Yeah, and
times
he
for
rushed 3 for
35 yards.
35 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
In
a pretty
6 minutes.
decent
Those 2
day.
touchdowns came within 6 minutes
Yeah.
of the game.
that's just crazy.
Yeah, because
That's
one
not
of
a way
them
to
came
start
off
off
a
the game.
Houston
Yeah,
fumble.
that's terrible. Yep.
And that
And then, like
see,
I said, you have Gardner come in and just take over. 1923 and 171 yards and a touchdown. I mean, you don't get that out of a backup very often.
no. And then it seems like Indianapolis' running game has been pretty good lately. Like you got Zach Moss, 18 carries, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown. Like they're doing pretty good despite not having Jonathan Taylor back there. So makes me
There's
wonder
like
how.
2 more weeks without him too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So makes
If
me
he
wonder
doesn't
how
get traded.
true that.
I think the Colts are a lot better this season so far than everybody expected them to be.
Which means that we're all wrong about that
Yeah.
division.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? Because it's still only
Yeah.
week 2.
True that.
It's only week 3. Just easy.
Yeah, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So we got
Shall we
11
move
more
on?
games to go through, so we better get through these somewhat quick.
Yep.
Has it been like 30 minutes and we've gone through what, like 5?
I think it's been more than 30, Paulo. It's 8:41.
Yeah, but we didn't start like 8 on the dot, did we?
No, we started before.
Oh, well, rip. All right, speedrun.
Well, we talked college for about 10
Yeah.
minutes.
KC and Jacksonville. Jacksonville got some issues, and I've noticed the same thing happening every time they got in the red zone. Lawrence would throw a pass toward the back of the end zone, and the receivers couldn't get 2 feet in. Every time.
Yeah. Yeah, they struggled in that red zone. It would seem that they do okay driving down the field, but when it came to the red zone, they shut down. And that's not a good thing.
My question for that is like I said, it's the pass is always toward the back of the end zone. It should be, a catchable touchdown. A couple of them were Ridley too. Uh, my question is Lawrence overthrowing it, or are the receivers just not getting their feet down?
Who knows?
It's a big question mark there.
But would that not go hand in hand? Wouldn't overthrowing cause you not to get your feet down?
That's what I'm more
Especially that
specifically
close to the
talking about
boundaries.
is like,
Yeah.
if he didn't overthrow it, is there something the receivers are doing that's like making it where they can't get both feet down? Like if it's just the right height where they just have to reach up and grab it. Like are they taking too long of a stride or something? Who knows?
Or is there some kind of disconnection with Trevor Lawrence and his receivers? Like these factors come into play. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Like theoretically, I think the Jaguars should have beaten them. But at the same time, they lost it, and that's because they just couldn't get in the red zone at all.
Yeah. And let's also bring up the fact that Calvin Ridley had 8 targets and only 2 catches for 32
Yeah.
yards.
Ironically, and this was mentioned last week, where we had Calvin Ridley did really well last week, and Christian Kirk barely did a thing. This time, it was all Christian Kirk this week, and Calvin Ridley barely did a thing. It was a complete flip flop. And I thought that was kind of interesting there. Now, if they could get both of them
ETN
on the
also
same
did good
page,
last week.
yeah, he did. Now, if we could get the both on the same page, along with Travis Etienne, then that offense would be unstoppable for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
But obviously, that was not the case.
I am curious to see if they're going to have the same problems in the red zone. If they do, then Houston has a chance.
Yes.
On the other side, though, with the Chiefs, they look like you'd expect the Chiefs to look after that loss to the Lions. I want to bring up Kadarius Toney took that personal last week. 5 for 5, only 35 yards, but still, he didn't drop a pass.
Yeah.
Did the Chiefs look like how you'd expect them to look
Yeah,
after the
I was
loss?
about to
Somewhat.
Because
say,
Patrick Mahomes threw what, like 2 interceptions, 3?
He threw
Like,
1.
one.
Oh, it was only one.
Yeah,
Wasn't there a lost fumble or
305,
something as well?
305, 2
He lost a
touchdowns, 1
fumble,
interception.
Yeah, I
and a
don't.
lost fumble.
A
It
pick and
doesn't say
a
it, but
pick
he
and a
did.
lost fumble is not how the Chiefs are supposed to look. Like,
Well, I'm
there's
saying-
still,
Well,
I'm
not
saying
only that. I
offensively,
mean,
mainly.
just simply look.
Like,
But
with
simply
what
look
they
at the
were able
score
to
as
do
well.
moving
If
the
the Chiefs were
football.
the Chiefs, if the Chiefs were the Chiefs, you're scoring more than 17 points against Jacksonville.
yeah. Since when is 17
you are
like
the
the Chiefs
Chiefs.
standard? I
Yeah.
feel like it should be at least 10
Let me
points
see
higher.
let me see the 30 and 40 points that they were putting up last year and the year before. Because they're really not. I mean, Kelsey was only 4 for 26 and a
Yeah,
touchdown.
he got
26
the
yards out of
touchdown,
Kelsey.
but
This is the man that catches 50, 60-yard passes for a touchdown, and we're talking 4 for 26, but they look the same. No.
yeah, the
You had
best tight end
Kadarius
in the
Toney with
game
more
right
yards.
now.
Noah Gray with more yards, Justin Watson with more yards. His other tight ends had more yards than him. Sky Moore with the most, 3 receptions, 70 and a touchdown.
I did get
Are
to
we really
fully
saying that they look the same?
I did get to fully watch that game. For the environment they were in with that, I think they were like more of themselves than they were against the Lions. Jacksonville was constantly on Mahomes that day. Like Mahomes was getting pressured.
And that they do have, I know they do have one of their, I think it's their left tackle, their starting left tackle is out, which obviously that's his blind side being right-handed. I mean that's a factor, but still,
Orlando
one
Brown is
person,
gone as well.
yeah, so two. I mean you got two tackles out that's massive.
Yeah, well,
And
Orlando
being
Brown
pressured,
is over in Cincinnati, so I mean,
yeah.
it's I don't know.
They look a little
They're
more like their
closer,
old
but not.
selves, though. They're not 100% there, but a little closer.
Yeah, it's not time to be. I don't think it for them. It's not time to be concerned on if they're going to make playoffs or not. I mean, like I said, it's only week 2.
Yeah.
But these next few games are going to be a make or break for them on how their season's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing to
Especially,
add, real.
I got the Bears at home next week, so.
Oh, yeah. One thing to add.
Easy win.
One thing to add real quick to the Chiefs is that I start to wonder with the amount of points they've been producing lately, if losing their offensive coordinator has really hurt them. So
Mhm.
It's
like
possible.
it's very possible. It's a theory. I guess we'll find out how they do against the Bears, and the Bears stink right now. They're just horrendous. But of course, we'll touch up on them momentarily. But ugh.
Yeah,
I
speaking of
fear.
the
Yeah.
Bears, that's the next one up.
Yep.
Bears and
Oh, the
Bucks.
Bears. Oh,
The Bears.
The
The
Bears.
Bears.
Or
the
should
Bears.
or should we say the bums?
I
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I
is
don't know if y'all have
atrocious.
seen the image of Justin Fields sitting in the pocket. He's got an open receiver, nobody near him, and he took a
In the end
sack
zone.
instead.
Yep.
I saw
Oh,
that.
Yep.
like
You're in the red zone. You're 10 yards away. You just lose the yardage.
Fields was not having a
Yeah.
good day. He hasn't been having a good day for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. And all that, all the hate. We're going to talk about this that Paulo gives
I
on Baker,
I will
talking about
I
Baker
will say
midfield. Hey,
Hey,
I've
hold up, hold up,
one thing at a
hold up,
time.
hold up. Paulo always saying Baker midfield. Yes, I know this week was the Bears, but last
That's
week's
valid
against the
though.
Vikings. I'm just saying Baker
Pull
is
up a
putting it.
terrible defense. We talked about that.
They still won against the Vikings
You
with
agreed with me
with
about the
a
Vikings
solid
defense.
with a
eh,
solid offense though. It's a shootout,
I
and Baker got the best of them. I mean,
I'll
his numbers
I'll
don't lie.
say
Yeah, only one touchdown,
I will
but still
say I've
317 yards.
I've been one of the people to hate on Baker a little bit too, but
Oh, we know.
he's like we said last week. I don't know, you weren't here for that, Will, but I don't know if you listened to it. Baker has a cycle. He gets a
Yep.
hot streak, falls
Yep.
off, and then back on a hot streak again.
And
How
this
long
is
is it
also
gonna
what
be before he
happened.
falls off again?
Yeah. He's got
That's
weapons.
true,
I mean,
that's
Mike
true.
Evans, him and Mike Evans have this connection that is insane. And, I'm a fool the last 2 weeks not starting Evans just because of my concerns with Baker. But this week, 676 for 171 and a touchdown. And last week he had over 100 yards and a touchdown as well. So there's a good connection there.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
Baker has looked good,
yeah,
but I will say my past hate for Baker Mayfield, me hating on him, that was valid.
that was no,
I
no,
do
yes.
I
not
don't,
regret
I
it.
don't,
I will not repent.
I won't, I won't disagree because last year was rough. But I mean, Baker took no sacks. That O line held up, 0 sacks.
That's
No
kind of
fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown.
kind of
Defense was firing and offense is firing. That is hand in hand how it should be.
it's kind of surprising too, because the Buccaneers O line lost two of their valuable uh uh linemen on the O line to the season-ending injury. So the fact that they didn't allow a single sack is really impressive.
Mhm.
Much to my dismay, because I also hate the Succaneers. So
Yeah, it's now that
Haters.
Baker's not like talking that smack like he's that dude
Yeah.
in Cleveland, like I
Mhm.
kind of like him now, or he's like tolerable at least. Like
Yeah.
just
yeah,
play well and that's it. And then when you earn the right, you can talk smack.
Mhm. Yeah. Because even
just
last week against the Vikings, and the Vikings have they're not atrocious defense, but also not at the top. They only got one sack on them last week. One. And you do
like
have some playmakers on that Vikings defense. I mean, back to back weeks, 2 weeks, and he's only been sacked once. It's incredible compared to some of these other teams. Stroud, who's been sacked 10+ times already in 2 weeks. It's a
Yeah.
big difference for these teams when you can have an O line, and this goes to show it, an old line that can hold up against pass rushers and blitzers off the edge.
We're about to
Um,
see what the Bucks are made of, though. When they go against the Eagles, we're about to see what they're made of.
yeah,
Yeah,
the Bucks so far are a
I think
little
this will be that
questionable,
make or break for them.
but
Yeah.
the Bears. Is it quarterback problems? Is it coaching problems? We know for a fact after today that there's some coaching issues in there after one of them got their house raided by the FBI and resigned. Granted, it was defensive, but
Yeah.
still.
Allegedly.
I mean, the defense hasn't
Allegedly.
been good either.
Yeah.
Like Justin Fields literally said in a press conference today that he said the coaching is definitely a problem. I'm like, oh boy, already
I
taking shots at
I
his own
want to I want to
100%.
take a moment here for that. Will, me and you talked
Yep.
about this.
Yep.
That man blaming
Yep,
his
I think,
coaches. Sir, you're partially to blame for that too after taking the sack when you had a wide open receiver.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's
So I'm
just
glad
one
Chris brings.
instance.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad
There's
Chris brings
more.
that up because
There's definitely more.
you
No,
have
there
a
is,
Justin
but
Fields.
like,
He
You
is
have a Justin
partially
Fields
to
year
blame for
3.
that.
Yeah.
Year 3 Justin Fields, and these are the mistakes we're making in the NFL, being paid millions. And what are we still blaming? We're blaming
And
our coaches.
and like you said
Let's take
earlier,
Kirk
Will,
Cousins. Hold on. Let's take
that's
Kirk
what I was about to
Cousins,
say.
who took responsibility. Hey, if I'd have thrown that ball better, Jetta's might not have fumbled. If I'd have made this play, we would have won. Or if I'd have done this or that. Who has matured,
Yeah.
in my opinion, quite a bit over the last few years to actually take responsibility. Hey, it wasn't the coaches. It wasn't just that receiver that fumbled. What if I, as a quarterback, as the leader of this team, would have done better? There's two differences there. You got one, year 3, still blaming your coaches for your performance, and one who's been in the league for a while taking responsibility. Hey, I'm the leader. This is my fault, no one else's.
Respect to
Big
Kurt for that.
differences.
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Agreed.
I say quarterback play and coaching is the issue in Chicago. Like, the coaching has not been great. It's basically everything else is fine. Like, in terms of like skill position players, like that's all in place for them to have like relative success. It's just Fields' decision making and play calling.
Yeah. All in all, the Bears just don't look good this year, and I
Yeah.
don't expect them to win much this year
My
at
dark-
all.
Unless they
My
can
dark
tighten some
horse
things up.
theory is
Yeah,
my dark horse theory is going out the window
your
quickly.
theory has been taken out in the
I
backyard and
agreed.
pumped in
It,
the
it
head with a
has. I admit
shotgun.
it. It absolutely has. But they had everything preseason to be the team that
Yeah, on
could have been the
paper.
dark horse. Preseason games they look good too.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it's just
If
it's
this
falling
continues,
apart
if they don't
quickly.
pick it up, if they don't pick it up, either Eberflus or Fields are not gonna be there by the end of the season. Maybe even both, because if they end up with another like #1 draft pick, they're gonna take a quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
because I mean, look how
definitely.
quickly they got rid of Nagy and they gone. They've been through Trubisky, gone. They
Yeah.
don't.
All right, but
Bears are an organization that do not play around.
we still got like 9 left, so we gotta get moving.
Speedrun.
Yep.
Yeah, Chargers Titans. Chargers are the
Honestly,
same as the
Yippee.
Vikings in this.
yeah, putting up points, putting up good stats, just not winning games at all.
Yep.
And the Titans are
Dominated on the
kind of
ground because
similar.
Eckler wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Titans are kind of similar to that. I don't know what exactly, like maybe it's
The Titans
certain
just
certain players being like a little up there in age at this point. Who knows?
the Titans just had a better running game. I mean, Derrick Henry doing Derrick Henry things, 25 carries, 80 yards, and 1 touchdown. Then you got Tyjae Spears, 8 carries for 49 yards. And then Ryan Tannehill himself, 1 carry, 12 yards, and a touchdown. So that run game of Tennessee, much like the Falcons, is legit, as usual. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, when
That
you have
makes it
but-
even
a
better
running
that the
back
Saints
that's-
held them so low.
Yeah, when you have a running back that's the size of a lineman, you can make things happen and wear down a defense pretty quick.
oh yeah.
Yeah. I've always liked Mike Vrabel as a head coach too. He always seems to have the Titans higher than what they're projected to do, and that's respectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
that's
for
respectable,
the
especially with a quarterback like Tannehill. Like
Yeah,
Tannehill,
a game manager
he's a mid
quarterback.
tier. Yeah, he's a mid tier quarterback. Once again, not at the bottom, not at the top, but he wins some games that you don't expect him to, and he does pass. But last week, terrible, right? This week,
Hmm
20 for 24, 246 yards and a touchdown, and then a rushing touchdown. There's two sides of Tannehill. One week this, next week that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no consistency within himself, which then there's no consistency within the Titans. It's where everything starts.
hmm
Yeah, agreed. But all in all, this kind of just looks very awfully similar to um the game. What was the game we mentioned a moment ago?
Vikings,
Yeah, Vikings and
Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah,
Yeah,
not much to say here.
it's the Chargers and the Vikings are pretty much the same. I wouldn't be surprised if this week the quarterbacks Herbert and Cousins break 400 each. I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
Yeah,
same.
surprised.
it's definitely set up that they could with the defenses that they're going against.
That game is going to be a shootout.
And
I
it's
also
in
Yeah,
think
prime
whoever wins
time.
that game, Vikings and Chargers, that's gonna definitely impact who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. Because 0-3, like, is gonna hurt whoever
Yep.
gets it.
Granted, I think it would hurt the Vikings a little less considering the people in their division.
yeah,
I mean, maybe, but I mean, the Lions are still coming. They had a little setback, but I still think the Lions could put up some wins.
Yeah.
yeah. I still think they're gonna be the contenders of the NFC North this year, despite the Packers looking okay right now, and the Vikings they just can't win games with no defense, and the Bears, well, they suck. So
Yeah.
I still have the contenders for the North this year, no matter despite the setback.
Moving on. The game that was the thumbnail for this video, the
Ah,
Giants and Cardinals. Good
Oh,
lord.
they had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I
the situation looks awfully familiar.
it's like at
Mm.
halftime the
Mm.
Cardinals forgot they were tanking.
Yeah,
Uh,
big time, man. Too bad he didn't have a 28-3 score because I'd be
It
coming up with 28-3 jokes right now.
it's still almost as bad. It was 28-7.
Close enough. Yep, close enough.
If
Yeah,
the Giants did figure things out, like for the rest of the season, though, like good on them, because they like week 1 and 2, they were outscored 60 points before they ever got a point, and then they bounced back to win that game. So, I mean, if the Giants stick with
Yeah.
it, then that bodes well.
Yeah.
can we for a second? Can we take a moment to applaud the Giants for finally finding the end zone?
Yeah. It took them long enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
took them a whole week to finally get the end zone,
But
and
I
there they
think
are.
they're going to be suffering cuz Saquon's out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's what I was
100%.
about
Yeah.
to say. But
Still
I mean,
both of
I
these
mean,
teams
Jones has
the
some.
the Cardinals have now been beaten by by the same division 2 weeks in a row.
That's gotta be more demoralizing. And you come close twice.
Yeah,
And honestly,
rough.
though, I gotta say the Cardinals real quick don't look terrible. They are actually competing, but of course they haven't gone against anyone good yet. So I don't
Yeah.
want to like completely give them any kind of false hope or anything like that. But at the same time, they've been able to score points. Their defense has been able to make enough plays, except for this week. Obviously, they let the Giants win, but um, overall, they're putting up pretty reasonable stats. So it's
Yeah.
like, for example, for rushing, James Conner rushed 23 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown. Joshua Dobbs had 21 completions for 31 attempts, 228 yards and a touchdown. No sacks at all. And overall, not a bad day. The defense just couldn't finish the job for them for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
not to
Cardinals aren't
mention
going
the
anywhere,
top.
but go ahead.
No, go. You got it.
Okay, I was gonna say the Cardinals aren't going anywhere this season, but they're gonna disrupt someone's season.
Yep.
Like a
Oh,
playoff hopeful team is gonna go in there and they're gonna lose just
They're gonna be
with like a
someone's
close
trap
game or
game.
whatever. Yep,
I
exactly.
would I would love if the Niners if they became the Niners trap game, because the Niners look good. We'll touch up on it in a second, but I would love to see the Cardinals beat the Niners. That would be
Yeah.
I
great.
think you are reaching for the stars with that
Yeah, I
one.
don't
The
know if that
I
Niners
know,
happened.
are too good.
I know.
But
I'm just
speaking of the
saying, like,
Niners, next game,
yeah.
Niners Rams. About what I
Honestly,
expected.
yeah, it was close, but Niners came out on top, and the Rams looked good. Matthew Stafford looked good. He completed 34 passes, had 307 yards, a touchdown. Granted, he had 2 picks,
Can we
but of course,
take a minute though to highlight Puka Nakua? Good
Puka Nacua
lord.
balling out.
wow,
Yep.
yes,
15 for
Just
get cut
127.
When they get cut back with Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua, that's gonna be a good receiving core.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Let's.
Isn't Puka
This
like a
man threw.
rookie?
Yes, I believe he
Yep.
is.
Yep.
Wow.
Let's just say Stafford 55 attempts. 55.
Well, yeah, he
That's
had to
lot of
pass a lot
passing
because they
attempts.
don't really have a run game.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, with Akers being traded today, I mean, you're relying on Kieran Williams. I mean, he didn't do terrible. 14 for 52 yards and a touchdown isn't
Yeah.
terrible,
How
but it's
many
not great.
completions did he have out of the 55 attempts?
Let me
34.
look. Yeah, 34.
I mean, that's
34
not
completions with 2 INTs.
2 INTs. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course
I
it's
with
mean-
55 attempts. I mean,
they were going
Yeah.
up against a
Coming
really
off-
good Niners defense too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and Stafford's coming off of being out for a long time, so
I
mean
do
he's
think
probably still
though.
working through some things.
I do think though this game the Rams or not the Rams the 49ers offense took a hit losing Brandon Ayuk. I believe he went out second quarter. He came back in, but he wasn't 100% on that, and I'm not even sure if he's playing this week. They're still saying he's a game time decision for that, but he only got 3 targets or 6 targets and
If
caught
you-
3.
If they let him come back in the game, then I'm not concerned. Like even if he sits out one more week, like he's not going to be out for very long, or else they wouldn't have let him back in the game.
yeah.
and I do agree. Ayuk's a hit, but I mean, you still have McCaffrey, 20 carries, 116 yards. Debo, 6 for 63. Kittle, you still have one of the top tight
Mhm.
ends in the league still.
Which
So I mean,
uh,
Ayuk is a
for-
hit, but I mean they still have playmakers in that backfield.
yeah, and the difference maker in this was the running game for San Francisco.
Mhm.
116
Yeah.
yards compared to the Rams. What was it? 52 for their
52.
leader.
The whole rushing yardage for the Rams doesn't even equal what McCaffrey ran alone.
Yeah, and
You
Debo
have
had another
15,
38.
17, 11. Yeah. So I mean, it just doesn't compete.
Yeah, we'll probably get a nice elaborate review when my Niners friend, comes up as our guest on our next podcast next week.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
Niners.
And I think this week against the Cardinals is that they play this next
Uh,
week.
For the Niners.
Or am I? Yeah.
No,
Niners-
the
the
Niners play the
The
Giants tomorrow.
Giants. That's right.
This is
Okay. Oh yeah. I don't think they need Brandon Ayuk to be able to beat the Giants
Nah.
anyways.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
No. No.
No, McCaffrey's going to have a field day.
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
But I think Cooper Kupp comes back. I think the Rams might be a team to watch out for.
Yeah.
They're gonna be
If he ever-
sneaky.
Someone should have had them as the dark
Yeah,
horse.
they're gonna be sneaky. I mean, it was just hard to see him as a dark horse when Stafford didn't really have any weapons like he has the last
Yeah.
few years, especially with Cup going out as
Yeah.
soon as he did. Because he
Yeah.
still had OBJ.
Yeah, well,
and,
Nakua, yeah.
it just wasn't.
Yeah, Puka Nakua's a rookie, so you couldn't really
No, and
you
Tutu
couldn't really
Atwell.
guess how good he would be.
Yeah, and Tutu Atwell hasn't been like a star stud or anything like that to really put a lot of hope into it.
Right.
But let's move on to the next one. We got Jets Cowboys. I
So
hate to say
one-sided.
this. I hate to say
Don't you
this,
say
but I
it.
think the Cowboys might be
Don't
the
you
team
say
to
it.
beat in the NFC.
Mm.
I think they might. The
Ah,
defense
Just
alone,
absolutely
man.
disgusts me.
I need to wash my
I
mouth out with
can't say
soap.
you're wrong, but
I
the
cannot
49ers
confirm
are
it.
still there for me.
At the
49ers
Eagles,
are still number one for me, but
I'm
the
with Pablo.
The
Eagles haven't
49ers
looked as dominant though.
No, the Eagles
yeah,
don't look
it's a
as
slow
dominant
start.
anymore. But the 49ers have an amazing offense. The defense is good. I don't know if it's as good as the Cowboys defense. The
I
Cowboys
think I can. I
defense
think I can agree on
is
that.
Yeah.
that's got to
Yeah.
be number
But
one for the league.
we'll find
I,
out in a couple of
I,
weeks when they play each other.
Yeah.
True
yeah,
that.
but we will. But I mean, they do the Cowboys defense is just firing on all cylinders. The front four, those linebackers, secondary is just
They
it's
made
just
life
hitting
hell
everything
for
they need
Jeff.
to. Yeah, they made it a point to show the league, their issues, their sacks. They turned over, they got a fumble, 3 interceptions. I mean, it's
And
ridiculous.
on that note, Will, we've said it before, we'll say it again. Zach Wilson ain't it.
Nah,
No,
he
no,
gotta
definitely
go.
not.
They need
He's a
someone
Zach
else.
Wilson's not the answer. They had someone else. Played a whole
Oh,
5 minutes.
yeah,
Actually,
exactly. They need another
at,
someone else.
at your correction, Will, it's a total of 75 seconds. And I'm not kidding.
Oh, was it? That's
Yeah.
awful.
It wasn't even
Yeah, I
5
mean, Zach
minutes.
Wilson isn't the. He's
I
not the
tell you
answer. But then
what,
again, I
yeah.
don't know what you expect him to do against that defense. I mean,
And
170 yards and 3 interceptions.
and this
Like
is a
that's
big thing to
rough.
note about that defense. Brees Hall, as good as he is, was held to 9 yards.
Yeah.
So was
I
Michael
feel
Carter.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook was at 7. Zach Wilson had more rushing yards than this backfield, this trio that they have with 36. That's just unacceptable. Then again, the
Not to
man's running
mention
To be
Dalvin Cook
fair,
4
fumbled.
Yeah.
yeah. To be fair with the Cowboys defense, we haven't really seen them play
No.
a good offense yet.
No, we
so
haven't.
we
no.
need them to play like the
But
Chargers or someone to really see how the defense looks.
but at the same
Or the
time,
Dolphins.
At the
but
yeah,
at the same time, continuing from last year and what they did last year, they've only added to that defense.
Yeah.
They did play top teams last year, and they still dominated some of them. And
And
and they're
it
just
brings up the
continuing it.
question.
Unfortunately, their season starts
It brings
with
up the
2 lesser
question:
teams.
if your
That's just how it
defense is that good, does your offense really need to be great?
your offense can be mid.
Yes, because when you play another elite team like the
Mhm.
Niners, the offense is gonna need to do stuff.
Yep,
So
because
I
that
I mean, you
offense,
can be elite against most teams, but it's not gonna matter in the playoffs when you're going against another good defense.
yep.
Regardless, the Jets need work. Cowboys look strong.
If I'm the
So we're
Jets,
gonna
I'm
leave it. We're not
calling.
gonna say anything else.
Yeah.
We're
If
gonna
I'm
leave it
the
at that.
Jets, I'm calling about Gardner Minshew. I'm calling about Taylor Heineke. I'm calling about Jameis Winston. Like I'm calling some
Yeah.
I'm
teams if
calling
I'm the Jets.
even Davis Mills.
I mean, that's an improvement.
Like just
Yeah,
get
it
somebody,
really is.
just get someone out there that can pass the ball better
Yep.
than Zach Wilson. Get
Uh,
someone because
moving on. Commanders
Call up
Broncos.
Ben
What in
Roethlisberger.
the name of God? What
I
happened?
swear
Colin Kaepernick.
the Broncos are feeling the whole Sean Payton effect when it comes down to bad calls by the refs.
They
Like,
Yeah.
ooh, they
That
got
should have been
burned.
PI at the end of the game.
It should have been, yeah, but it didn't happen, and that's
now
why
they
the score is
feel our
35 to
pain.
33. Yes, but at the same time, I'm gonna laugh. I'm a little petty about Sean Payton after he left us the way he did. So I'm gonna say, you're 0-2, you bum.
The
I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say Russell looks like his old self.
he
He
looks
looked better
closer.
though.
He looks
He
closer.
looks better than last year.
18 for
He
32.
barely threw. He barely completed. Yeah.
18 for 32, 308 with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. That's not terrible.
Granted, he did have
No,
That's
7
what I was
sacks.
saying. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the big
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot.
7 sacks, you said?
Yeah, 7
Yes.
sacks.
I also
You
wanna
thought
say that-
Houston
Well,
was
I'm just
on all
gonna-
sacks? Ooh.
I also want to
I'm
say
gonna
that
assume half the
Russell
sacks aren't on
Wilson
him.
Russell Wilson led the team in rushing yards with 56.
Yeah, they
Mm.
don't have. That's another team. I mean, this running backs this year, this rushing offense for a lot of teams is just not nowhere where they used to be.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know
But
what's
I mean,
going
I
on.
think the big thing is they got Jerry Jeudy back, right?
Granted, he only had
Mhm.
like 25
Looked all
yards,
right.
I
He only
think.
yep, first game back. But let's talk about Marvin Mims. 2 catches and 113 yards.
Yep.
Come
Which
on.
he's a rookie,
What is
correct?
that about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Like 2 catches and 113 yards is insane for
Yep.
anyone.
Yeah.
But I mean, Russell does look better than last year for sure.
Without
But
question.
he's not the Russ that was in Seattle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Commanders' offense doesn't look too shabby under Eric Bieniemy. Like,
Nope.
the Broncos' defense is like pretty stout, and the Commanders
And they-
still won that game.
Yeah, they passed the
Mhm.
ball pretty well. Like Sam Howell had 27 completions, 299 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Got sacked 4 times though.
But
And lost
no
lost a
fumbles
fumble. But
and no interception. No, they
yeah,
didn't lose a fumble.
they did.
No.
Who fumbled?
Nope.
Who
No
didn't
fumbles
fumble?
lost. No one fumbled.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Just
And
kidding.
and he can have an interception. Yeah, no fumbles and no interception for Howell.
Yeah, but
Howell
but
didn't
he
do
played-
bad.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. So, and then Brian Robinson Jr. He looked phenomenal that day, surprisingly, for Washington. 18 carries, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think Washington may have found this as a new reliable back because I thought Antonio Gibson would be that guy. No, he only had 2 carries for 9 yards. That's pathetic. So,
Switch last
uh,
year. That switch happened last year when Robinson came back.
2 carries for
But-
9 yards, you said? For
Yeah.
Gibson?
Yeah.
yeah,
Let me check
But-
on fantasy.
but
Why
here's
does
my
he
thing,
have so
so
many
I
points
don't-
on fantasy then?
Because this is it. He's more of a pass catching running back. He's that back out of the field. 3 catches, 44 yards.
That's where they
That's what they
Yeah.
turned him into.
Yeah.
When Brian Robinson came back last year, Gibson still gets touches, but he's more of that passing back. That's what they really use him as. He gets out of the backfield quick, and when he gets in the open field, he's gone. And that's where
Which is
he's really
still,
developed.
yeah, which is still important as like
Oh yeah,
a second back
Yeah.
to have someone
know
who can
what?
catch.
3rd on the team Sunday for receiving yards, right behind Terry McLaurin, who had 54, John Bates with 46, Gibson with 44. A receiver with 3rd on your
Sheesh.
team and receiving yards.
Oh, you mean a running back?
Yeah, a running back 3rd on that receiving list
Yeah.
with receiving yards.
Someone need to put a wanted poster out for
You know what
Jahan
I'm saying?
Dotson then.
That's yeah,
Missing
Jahan
in
Dotson,
action. Where is he?
3 for 22. Diami Brown from the Cowboys, 3 for 25. Logan Thomas, they're tied in 2 for 22. I mean, Curtis Samuel even 3 for 19. Those Curtis Samuel should be right there
Jeez.
below McLaurin. That should be your
Yeah.
wide receiver too, and he's only 19 yards. Not
And-
good at all.
Well, at least like
No.
when some guys like that are expected to do well, even when they don't have good games, it's nice to know that some other guys can be there to like step up and, you know,
100%.
like cover,
Yeah.
carry the load a little bit.
100%.
Let's
anyway,
move on
moving
here
on.
to the next one. We got Dolphins Patriots.
I'd say
I
the
believe
Patriots once again just they come close but fall short all over again. It's just like last week, they came close, but once again a mistimed play shoots them in the foot. And this all came down to last second. Like last week, it was a Booty, whatever that dude's name.
yeah,
Yeah,
Keyshawn
LSU pulled
Butte.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't get his other foot, or he couldn't get all 10 toes down. This time, they couldn't get the 4th down conversion by their linemen. It was just like a series of unfortunate luck headed the Patriots'
Yeah.
way, but they kept it close.
Mac Jones, he did all right yards wise, but 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Yeah, he also got sacked 4 times by a Dolphins defense I didn't think would be that good, but apparently they manhandled the
It's
Patriots for the
also
most part.
mentioned the fact that they had hardly any run game at all. Stevenson had
Yeah.
50. Mac Jones rushed for 25. Ezekiel Elliott had 13. Zeke, how are you going to let Mac Jones beat you?
That's just sad, bro.
Well,
And I
let's
have
not
Yeah.
let's not look into it too hard because the Dolphins only won by a touchdown. One
This
touchdown,
is true.
7 points.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because Tua, we say Mac Jones, looks disgusting. 231, a touchdown, an interception. Let's look at Tua, 249, a touchdown and an interception. You're supposed to be
Yeah.
Well, the difference
quarterback.
was Jones
You're-
passed an additional
that's
12 attempts.
But still, an additional 12 attempts and only an 18-yard difference, but 1-for-1 ratio for both of them.
Yeah.
What
What's
carried
Close
the
game.
What kind
In
of
a close
carried
game,
the
though.
Dolphins this time was the run game. Mostert 18 carries, 121 and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm right in
Yeah.
this game, didn't Jalen Waddle get a concussion?
I think he did.
That I am.
I
I'm
don't
not sure.
I don't think he did because he's
think
not
he-
listed as.
Mm-mm.
I'm not sure. I
Let
remember
me
seeing
see.
somewhere
I
that he
got him
got
in
hit.
my other fantasy league.
Yeah, he did suffer a concussion.
That's what I
So
thought.
he'll be out
Oh, he
this
did?
week. Yeah, that was reported earlier today.
Yep.
So I mean, and who did the Dolphins play this week? They play. I don't see them. Oh, they play the Broncos
Dolphins,
in
the
Miami
Broncos,
though.
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Might be a good shootout there if the Broncos play the way they played against Washington.
But
Yeah.
story's the same as it was last week for the Patriots. Some struggles on offense that kept them from winning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dolphins,
their
they still
defense
look
kept
pretty
them in
good.
it.
They still look pretty good. I believe Tua is the current passing yards leader for the NFL.
Probably.
Correct.
Yes,
That is
that is
correct.
accurate.
I haven't looked at anything, but he's probably leading the MVP poll.
Possibly.
And ironically, Miami is currently the only undefeated team in their division, with being 2-0, and everyone else is either 1-1 or 0-2. So it's really boding well as them being the favorites for that division.
Moving on, though, second to last game of the week, we have Saints and Panthers.
I got to rant for half a second. I got to rant about that dumb O line that we got. Like, oh my gosh, that O line was making me furious in the first half. I mean,
Yep.
they made some adjustment in the second half, but allowing 4 sacks and hardly giving Carr any time to throw the ball, we got to do something about that O line because that O line
Mhm.
can't play like that all season long. Carr's going to get inaccurate. He's going to get hurt. Something worse than that, maybe. I don't know, but we got to fix that O line because it's just we can't move the ball effectively. If that O line can't block or can't protect the quarterback, you're not going to win games like that. But fortunately, we're 2-0, and we've been able to make adjustments in the second half, which I like. But at the same time, we got to be consistent all the way through.
Yeah. That the O line was atrocious for the
It
first
was
half.
garbage.
And
I was-
in the second half, look what happens. You gave Carr time, and he got 2 downfield shots that gave us a chance at a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sadly, we lost Jamal Williams to a hamstring injury.
Which
but
he didn't look terrible this time. He was getting like 4 or 5 yards a carry.
yeah, like
Didn't
he
look
was doing pretty well up until the injury, and then Tony Jones Jr. came to the mix, and he actually didn't do too bad himself. He had 12 carries, 34 yards, but 2 touchdowns, 2 really critical touchdowns that we desperately
Our
need to put the
best
Panthers
rusher,
away.
our best rusher's the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill, 9 for
Yeah,
75.
that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. I was gonna say Jamal didn't look terrible. 9 for 29, not terrible, but
Taysom Hill out here
Nice.
showing
Swiss
up the
knife
running
coming for
backs.
9 for 75. Yeah, I
Taysom
mean,
Hill,
he
oh
is a
boy.
man of wonders.
The only
I'm not
thing he
worried
has,
about the Saints at all. We get Kamara back in 2 weeks, and we still got Tony Jones Jr.
The
Taysom
only
Hill
the
can
only
still
thing I
run.
worry about is
So
that O line because with the struggles they had in the first half, Carr didn't throw any touchdowns. He's only 228 yards and an interception.
yeah.
And he said
I'm not
himself,
even really worried about the O line, to be honest.
Carr said himself that it was some struggles he had in the first half. He said he needed to play better, which respect to Carr for that.
Hmm.
But our defense has given us a bunch of opportunities, getting us close, and we're coming away with field goals. We need touchdowns.
Agreed. Like the defense, once again, masterclass
Go ahead.
effort, except for that one drive at the end. But we're not going to.
You ranted for a second. Now I got to rant for a second.
Yeah,
That
yeah. Go
one
ahead.
play where freaking Bryce Young took off running and Marcus May is looking at him,
Oh my
just
god.
staring at him, watching him go. Tackle
It's like what?
him.
It's like stop eating your popcorn and watching him run by. You grab him and tackle him. Like, what are you doing, stupid?
Ugh.
Oh my god. But
Marcus May is a
one,
great player, but like, what were you doing there?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those STDs he got from that.
Wait, hold up. He got what?
STDs? What are we talking about?
You mean the PEDs?
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. What kind of podcast is this?
My apologies, folks.
Oh my god, I'm keeping that in.
Uh,
But regardless,
well,
that man, he made one big mistake, and that allowed not the Cardinals. God,
yes,
the
the Cardinals.
Panthers. I was between saying that and Carolina. The Panthers got their only touchdown off that drive because of that.
Yeah. Honestly, I was a little annoyed by that because it gave the Panthers some life. Fortunately, we covered the onside kick and ran. And thank God for Taysom Hill, who got that game sealing first down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this game was pretty much nowhere close for the Panthers because towards the end stretch, we had them dominated. I, but I just hate prevent defense. I hate it with passion. We should never play prevent defense ever again because it just gives the other team false hope, especially if the game is in like complete blowout fashion. So
Also, I haven't seen yet for Bryce Young to have a welcome to the NFL moment on a tackle.
true, yeah.
I'm waiting.
I thought maybe we would give him that, but it wasn't a case. But we did get enough sacks on him. We got 4 sacks off of him, and forced him, and we made him force a fumble as well. Technically 2, but then that phantom call on defensive holding that we never heard on the TV, which I can never figure out for the life of me why they didn't even announce it. Technically should have been 2, but here we are with 1. But other than that, we won the game. Ugly win. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Moving on.
They gotta protect Young, or he's not gonna be able to do a whole lot. All he's gonna be able to get is some yards running.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for the Panthers. Protect your quarterback, and
Definitely.
let him work. We've seen what he can do in
Agreed.
Alabama. He's got decent receivers. They're nothing terrible. I also want to highlight one little moment from the game when they were lining up on offense. Young was getting ready for the snap, and Sanders like tapped him and pushed him over. Like, you're lined up in the wrong spot, buddy. Move.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
He's still learning. Give him time.
Yep. Just his second game into his NFL career, so we gotta give him grace. Now, if he does that 5 years later, then we'll be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
But do we really have to give him grace? He's a quarterback that played in college, made it to the NFL, and is lining up under your right guard. What grace do you need? This is your job. Well, you don't get an excuse for that. There's no pass.
I said
no
it
pass
before,
for
and I'll
that.
still stand by it. C.J. Stroud was the better pick.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You know, there's just no pass for that unless he's
for
concussed.
now.
Hey, you watch your mouth.
Time will tell.
All right, let's move on to the final game because we're over an
man.
hour and a half here. Browns
Oh, you
Steelers.
remember when you were trying to get us to do this in
Set
under
up,
an
follow.
hour, or
Shut up.
That went out the window.
Browns
But
versus Steelers was I
I'd
don't I
s-
That
don't
game was
even
cursed.
I don't even know what to say.
yeah,
Before,
like after
outside of any of the, the points or anything, Nick Chubb's leg is gone.
it's gone pecan.
Yeah,
It
It,
wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me
potentially
if he
his
doesn't
career is
come back.
gone.
I have heard
Yeah.
people say that doctors are reporting he will be lucky if he doesn't walk with a limp after all is
Ooh,
said and done. I
that
don't know.
poor
I don't
guy.
know
Yeah.
how true that is, but if that is the case, prayers for him. Good Lord,
D-
because that is the
Yeah,
same knee
That
that he messed
sucks.
up in Georgia when he was a bulldog.
I kid you not. When I saw it happen on live television right after the Saints game, um, hearing the crowd from after they saw the replay, it was loud, and
Yeah, it's
it was my same reaction. I was
bad.
like, "Ooh, yeah, we're not going to strive for the public's safety because it's gruesome."
Yeah, they didn't even want to replay it on TV because it was that
Yeah,
bad.
it's that bad.
And
Yeah,
then after that whole situation in the third quarter, Minka Fitzpatrick took a hit to the chest and was sent to the hospital.
yeah. So it was like the. I know the Browns and Seals are dead hated rivals, but gee whiz, they
Yeah,
took it to a whole new level that night.
it was bad.
Yeah,
But outside of the injuries though, going back to the actual game, uh the Steelers started out strong. First play of the game with that interception that was
yeah.
basically hot potato between like three people.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. That pick is not on Watson. That one's not,
No,
because that
no,
one
it's
got
not.
bobbled what twice before someone caught it
Yep. Yeah, it was bobbled
off the
twice.
receiver's hands, then off a defender's hands, and then into another defender's hands.
Yep. Uh, which I'm still of the opinion that those should not count against a quarterback on the stat cards. That it
Yeah.
shouldn't be an interception on him.
Sad. I mean, I'm not sure how you would classify it during the field
Dude,
of
it
play.
has to though, because then if it's not, it's someone deciding whether or not it should be or shouldn't be, and that's gonna be a whole nother like controversy. Because you could argue that the pass wasn't a good pass, and that resulted in everything that happened. Not to say that that's what happened this time, but someone's gonna
Yeah.
bring that up eventually, and then there'll be a whole nother controversy about picks.
Yeah, but let's look at some of the stats here for this game. Watson was okay.
Yeah, he was.
The running backs though. Chubb
They went off.
before he went out already had 64 yards on 10 carries, but Jerome Ford 16 for 106. He proved himself to be, in my opinion, the starter going forward. I know they signed Kareem Hunt earlier today, but Hunt hasn't played in a little bit, so
Yeah,
uh,
he's been
even
playing
if
hot
it's
potato lately.
just for this week, let him be the starter, and if you want to start Hunt afterward, give him a week to get back into it.
Yeah,
Amari Cooper 7 receptions for 90 yards. Uh,
Not
that's
bad.
a pretty good day.
he was the best one out of all the receivers because Njoku was second with 4 catches for 48.
And then you got my boy Elijah Moore, who I thought was pretty decent last week with 3 for 36. Not
Yeah,
as great as last week,
3
but
on 9 targets though. That
yeah,
that's not great.
that's not good at all. So,
Peoples
like I
Jones has
said,
been MIA so far as well.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought he'd be leapfrogging like any like Elijah Moore, but no, that has not been the case at all.
Yeah.
So
Flipping the ball over to the Steelers, Pickett was about the same as Watson, if not a little bit worse, just because I believe Watson was just a little over 50%. Yeah, Watson did better. He was 22 out of 40. Pickett was actually 50% on his passes, 15 out of 30.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
Pickens had a
222
good game.
yards.
Yeah, George Pickens led the team, 4 catches for 127, but the issue there is he had 10 targets and only caught 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just seems
How
like
many of those
both.
were his fault versus Pickett's though?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
this
the
could have
big
been
thing there
terrible
too.
throws.
Yeah,
Under him was Jalen Warren. He was targeted 6 times, caught 4 for 66. And then after that, it's Allen Robinson, 2 catches for 12.
yeah. It just seems like both teams, wide receivers had trouble catching the ball.
Yeah.
With obviously George Pickens of the Steelers being the best, but even he had, like you said, 10 targets and only caught 4 of them. Not great, despite the big stat yards.
Yeah, and
And like Elijah Moore, yeah, same story. So
the Steelers also had no running game, like at all.
yeah,
Najee
Yeah.
Harris
I didn't.
is falling
I
off.
didn't hear Najee Harris's name until like late third quarter,
Yeah,
early
he had
fourth.
10 carries for 43 yards. That wasn't great.
this might be a hot take, but I think they should move on from Najee Harris. He's not that good like Steeler fans think he is. Like he just hasn't produced the way most running backs should be producing. And like this game as a great example, 10 carries, 43 yards. That's not great. Like you're barely averaging 3 yards a carry from my maybe three and a
Yeah.
half, 4
Yeah.
yards, but
What
even
won
still,
what won the Steelers this game is their defense.
oh,
Uh
definitely.
Deshaun
Yeah,
Watson was
they had that,
sacked 6 times. There was an interception
Yep.
and 3 fumbles lost by Cleveland.
and one that was returned for a touchdown.
2
Yeah.
defensive touchdowns.
What won
Yes,
this game
Taking a
was the
fumble,
Steelers'
return for a
defense.
TD. I still
Yes,
think the Steelers and Cleveland can both be people's trap games, though, kind of like Arizona.
Yep.
Like they're good enough to like give someone a run for their money if they underestimate who they're going up against. Maybe not on offense, but defense specifically.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because on all other like areas, Cleveland was pretty much dominating it. Total yards 408 to 255. Passing was 210 to 200. Not really dominating it there, but still. Rushing yards 198 to 55. It wasn't great offensively for Pittsburgh,
yeah,
but that's what it came down to. The defense won them the game, which is like I was saying with the Cowboys. If your offense ain't great and your defense performs well, you don't need the offense to be great.
yeah. Let's just hope they don't run into really good teams.
And before we move
Yeah,
on,
I mean,
before we move on to the predictions section, Will, I believe, is still he had to step out for a second.
pooping.
Yeah,
Well, I was
Yeah,
trying
the
to dance
toilet,
around
just
that
so you can
follow.
step out and sit down
Hello.
and lay down a log.
That's a
Alright,
little.
what were you gonna say?
alrighty, Paulo. First
Jeez.
was me the STDs, and now you with the pooping.
Okay, before just until Will gets back, I want to bring this up. We didn't get to mention it during the Dolphins Patriots game. Something pretty bad happened during that game. One of the Patriots
yeah.
fans there, a fight broke out, if you want to call it that. And a Patriots fan died that night.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
It's bad, man. I don't know the specifics of it, but I know that a punch was thrown by someone in a Dolphins jersey. I've seen, I haven't watched the video, but I've seen screenshots of it. He's standing over the Patriots fan who is like laid back in the row of seats behind him. They say it was a medical episode or something like that. I don't know specifically what that entails, but from what I understand, the Patriots fan took the hit. I believe his last name was like Mooney or something like that. Who was there with his son. He took a hit from the Dolphins fan and fell back and was unconscious, and he did not come to. He was,
Yes.
I believe, he was pronounced dead at the hospital.
Another instance of just taking your fandom too far over your team. Like,
No,
I'm
I
not sure what caused the disagreement
that's
or what
part of what
caused it.
I'm confused by, because like uh from what I've heard, and I don't know, how true these are because I wasn't there. People are saying that he wasn't really the Patriots fan. Wasn't being very confrontational or anything. He was kind of like, you know, trying to ignore it, just have a good time with his kid at the game. But from what I understand, this Dolphins fan was kind of antagonizing him. And
Mm.
what I can't process in my head is, if this is how it went down and that guy was harassing the Patriots fan and he wasn't responding, what prompts you to punch somebody? Like,
I don't
eh,
know. Like, obviously the guy was probably drunk and just being ridiculously stupid, like most drunk people are, especially at football games. Like, they just get rowdy and then they get annoying and then they talk a lot of crap and it get annoys the next person, especially if you're on the opposing team.
mhm.
It just seems like another case of just another stupid drunk fan. He took it way too far, and that it just disappoints me when people just do stuff like that. And the fact that someone was actually killed on at a football game of all places, that's not what should never happen.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, but
So I just looked it up, and it says that Mooney, the Patriots fan, confronted the Dolphins fan who he had been arguing with during most of the game,
ah,
and they engaged
Mm.
in mutual combat.
what, what the
So I
heck?
don't
Mutual combat.
mutual combat,
Whoa.
which I assume just means a
What?
fight. I don't know
That's
why they said mutual combat.
I
Like it's not a duel, but yeah.
one of them dropped the glove. No, no, I
What?
is there anything
Sounds
else
like
on it, Follow, from like different sources maybe? Just to
sounds like
like get a
Mortal Kombat.
Well,
confirmation?
that was the ESPN article that says Mooney confronted the Dolphins fan, and while they were trying to be separated, the Dolphins fan punched him. But that was just the ESPN article. I don't know if other uh outlets say anything different. I can look, but
Yeah, just see if you
let's see.
can find anything else to kind of like, if more
I'll
than one
look at the
source has the
CNN one
same
real
thing,
quick.
it's probably true.
Yes. Okay. This one from CNN says a witness said he witnessed violent confrontation leading up to the death of a fan. Uh, let's see. Said Mooney approached a group of fans toward the end of the fourth quarter, grabbed another fan, started tussling, and then another fan walked over, and he was the one who punched him.
Ah, if that is the
So
case, though, that's still like, and we know we've seen videos before of people fighting at games. Like, y'all are adults.
yeah,
Don't be doing that.
yeah, get it together.
But
It's just sad. It's just sad that these things happen,
yeah,
and last thing you think of, like you would think that might happen in some alleyway in the city, or it might just happen up somewhere on the interstate with road rage, but
or
you'd
just
never
outside the
expect it,
stadium. Who knows?
right?
Yeah,
You just never
especially like
expect it.
a punch or two punches. Like when you're doing that, like your intention isn't to like kill a person, but I mean that's the reality is like people can die from a punch if you're not careful.
Yep.
Yeah, but regardless though of like what went down in there before he died, if I was the family, I'd probably be suing.
Oh
That's
yes, definitely.
that's
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
I would hope that maybe the Patriots would see this and give that family maybe free tickets for that whole season.
Oh, they
Just
were
I
season
have
ticket
imagine
holders.
oh
I imagine
should be.
they're gonna do something. Robert Kraft's gonna do something for
Yeah,
him. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way he's not.
Yeah, like Robert Kraft's a really great guy. He's actually done this, well, not in this situation, but he's actually like helped his fellow Patriot fans and like that last year at some point a Patriots fan was being brutally attacked by Raiders fans, and he reached out to him and offered him free uh booth tickets to where he normally sits during Patriot games. Imagine having the nicest view out of the entire stadium. He offered him those tickets, and I give my respect to Robert Kraft for
yeah.
doing something like that. That was nice. So I really hope he does the same
Yeah.
thing for this family that just lost their beloved father.
Not to stereotype, but Raiders fans, bro. Of course, it was Raiders fans.
I know, right?
Raiders fans do be like the most, like it feels like at least they're the most, what's the word, extreme. Other than
Yeah.
a few years ago,
Yeah.
I would have said Bills after slamming through the tables, but
Mhm.
they ain't been doing that a
There's
whole
another
lot
one I
since.
want to bring up, but how many enemies are we trying to make this podcast episode?
Hey, I got nothing against the teams. It's the fans.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
it'd be like that. All right, should we start predictions or should we wait for Will to
I
quit
think we should
dinking?
just start the
Yeah.
predictions because Will. Oh wait,
Yeah,
I see his name
we're
lighting
going
up.
over 2 hours.
I see his
Wait,
name
there's
lighting up.
Will.
I'm here.
I-
How dare you air out my
Hey.
business?
Paulo's the one
Hey,
that
how
did
dare
it.
you air out your bathroom? Get in here.
All right. Let's get to the week 3 stuff. For the first game, Thursday night, Giants 49ers. I think that shouldn't be a
Easily
question.
Niners.
Niners.
Yeah, I think
All the way.
that's self-explanatory. Yeah.
For the first one for Sunday, Colts Ravens.
Ravens.
Yeah,
Ravens, no doubt. Especially if, even with Minshew in, I just don't think they're gonna get it done.
yeah. The Colts might keep it close, but I think the Ravens are winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Baltimore.
Yes,
Yes.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's in Baltimore. Yeah, that's a win for them.
Next up, we got Titans Browns.
I
I-
could see the.
Browns.
That's a toss up.
Browns.
I would think,
I want to
That's
say the
interesting.
Browns.
I don't-
Yeah.
because
I'm
both
saying
teams.
Titans.
My reasoning is that both teams run the ball very well, and their receiver core is, it's okay, but it's not great. But
Yeah.
if I had to give the edge, I'm going to give the Titans the edge because they have the better running back at this point.
I'm going to pick
I
the
agree.
Browns,
It could-
but I
Henry
wouldn't be
is-
surprised if
Henry-
either of them win.
Henry is questionable for the week, so
Oh,
Either way,
That-
the
that's
Titans
gonna
the
be a
Titans
if
are coming
factor.
off of a win versus the Chargers, and the Browns are coming off of a loss to the Steelers. So I'm
yeah,
I'm rolling with the Titans.
That.
yeah, I'm just going with the Titans here.
Next up, Falcons Lions.
I think
Lions.
Lions
I
should.
think the Lions.
Lions, no
I
doubt.
swear-
I want to say
I
Lions,
swear-
but
No doubt
Oh,
is a
jeez.
little far, even though I am
Jose.
saying Lions.
No, Jose, you
Putting that
better
money.
not.
I
You
want to
better
say
not.
the Lions, but they're
No.
down a running back. They're down one of their first string cornerbacks with Gardner Johnson. They're missing some stuff, and that defense is going to have to deal with Bijan Robinson. That's
It's definitely gonna be a tough game. But
yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like for the Lions' future, like Montgomery being out, if he's out, might actually be a good thing because we get like more Jameer Gibbs, who is good. So,
Yeah.
and he's the future. So maybe he'll.
I'm gonna
Maybe
say
he'll have a good
Lions,
game.
but I think it'll be close. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout or anything.
Yeah.
Saints Packers.
Saints.
Saints,
I
but
know
I am
that-
a little nervous.
I don't know.
I am.
I don't know.
Wow.
It's in Green Bay. It's in Lambeau. It's at Lambeau.
I don't care.
Well,
We're handing Jordan Love
tough.
his opener
That's
at
tough.
home loss.
I don't know. I'm
Besides,
gonna go Green Bay on this one,
besides, I
just
heard that
because.
I heard Aaron Jones and one of their starting right tackles may not be able to play this week.
So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm gonna roll Saints with that, and that's not the bias talking of being a Saints fan. I think the defense is gonna keep the Saints in the game.
Yeah, especially if
I
Aaron
agree.
Jones is out. I don't know if Bakhtiari on the O line is going to be back, and then Christian Watson's been out. Is he going to be back? Who knows?
I have no idea.
Let's move on to the next one: Jaguars and Texans. It's in Jacksonville.
Yes.
Sorry, Will. Your
As
Texans
much
are
as
dead.
yeah, no reason to be sorry. I mean, as much as it hurts to say, like, Stroud's questionable. Stroud was questionable last one shoulder, and he's questionable again this. And like I said, just with the O line,
Yeah.
I don't see it happening in Jacksonville. I don't see that first win coming.
I think the Jaguars are probably gonna win it, but if they struggle in the red zone like they did against KC, I think the Texans have a chance.
Yeah, I gotta go
I'm not
Jaguars on
counting
this
on
one.
them. I'm not counting on them struggling in the red zone, though. I feel like that might have been a one-time thing.
It is why I said if.
And it was once again it was against KC.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
difference, Houston and
Um,
KC.
Let's go to Broncos and Dolphins. Dolphins.
Dolphins easily.
Dolphins.
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 I just think they got the
Chargers.
better
But-
offense.
Chargers and Vikings.
I'm
Chargers
saying
and
Kirk Cousins is getting his first win.
Yes.
It's
I'll-
gonna be
I'll-
the
I
Vikings.
don't even. I don't know what to say for this game because it's all offense and no defense.
I gotta go with
Elite
Vikings.
offenses versus.
I think the
I'll
Vikings
go
have a
Chargers
help.
just to be different.
Oh wow. Of course. Of course.
Okay, well, I think I'm gonna go Vikings. I think they have the better quarterback, honestly.
Yeah.
You hold up, wait a second. Are you saying Kirk Cousins is better than Justin Herbert?
Mm.
I think he might
I
be.
mean, I need the clarification. I need you
Cousins-
to say it.
I'm saying here, Apollo, based on the stats for this year, Cousins is toward the top for QBs and passing yards.
That doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, so who's better though? Because that's what you just said. You
This
said they have a
season
better
so
quarterback, so
far,
you're saying Cousins is
I think
better.
I think Cousins is partially better this season because of what he's got around him. He's got arguably the best receiver in the league on his team.
Yeah, but that just speaks to Justin Herbert more. Is that he's doing just about the same amount with less.
I'm still picking the Vikings.
You know, I'm not gonna try to change your mind. That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I'm not
That's
I'm
so
not
hot.
discounting Herbert in this. Herbert's still pretty good. I think they're like very similar, but I think Cousins has a slight edge. Moving on though,
Anyway.
Patriots Jets. I don't know about this one. Both
I got the
offenses are
Patriots.
not great.
I got the Patriots because I think they have a slight better edge on offensively than the Jets. But it's like by a hairline. It's that thin.
No,
I'll
Zach
take the
Wilson's
Jets
getting
because the
that
Jets
W.
beat the Bills.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Zach Wilson's on the team, so yeah.
Zach Wilson
I don't
getting
think
that
he's gonna
W.
be the reason.
I'm
It's all
picking
Zach
Patriots.
Wilson.
I'm picking Patriots for
No.
their defense.
Same. Yeah.
Bills and Commanders. I think the Commanders are going to put up a fight.
I think they'll put up a fight, but I think the Bills still walk away with a win.
Yeah, I don't think the
Agreed,
Commanders
yeah.
are gonna, just take the L on this. I think they're gonna actually put up a fight and keep it close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they have the defense to stop Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I just don't think it's there.
Unless
At
Josh
this
Allen
moment.
stops himself by throwing some more picks.
Yeah, that's going to be the hindering factor is himself, and that's it. If he plays like he did this past weekend,
Easy win.
there's no doubt it should be the same thing. Again, 38-10, if not a greater score.
Next up, Panthers and Seahawks. I think if the Seahawks play like they did this week, it's not a contest.
Yeah.
Seahawks should
Seahawks.
win pretty handily.
I think they'll dominate them.
And who knows? They could make some. Well, I'm not 100% sure about Young because they did say he's dealing with something with his ankle today at practice.
Oh
so.
yeah. That does that mean it's Andy Dalton season for the
Oh
Panthers?
God.
Hey,
Ooh,
Beaker from the
that'd be
Muppets
rough.
coming
Red
in.
Rifle back at it.
Panther fans better start
Yes,
drinking.
All right, this one I
Bring in
think
the
we're
Red
all gonna
Rifle.
choose the same thing on here. It's Cowboys Cardinals.
Oh, Cowboys easily.
Cowboys
Yeah.
crush them.
Yep.
It would be
Bears Chiefs.
murder.
That's another one.
Easily
It
Chiefs.
should be the Chiefs.
No.
Run through the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears just have
They
nothing
should.
going for them.
Steelers Raiders. I'm gonna pick the Steelers for the better defense.
Yes.
I'm gonna pick the Raiders for the better offense.
I don't know about
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Jose and Chris
Oh.
with the defense, especially what they did against Watson and the offense they have. Yes, they have Adam. Get that, but
I believe the
just- I
Raiders are
just
gonna
don't
be
see it
without
happening.
Adams this week.
are they?
Yeah, I believe he had a
So who do
concussion.
they have after that? Hunter Renfro.
Jacoby
Yeah, they
Myers
got
if he
Hunter Renfro.
plays.
Jacoby Myers will be back from his concussion.
If
If they haven't
Um,
cleared him yet.
it's still questionable.
You got Hooper, the tight end. Josh Jacobs could get a good game going,
Possibly.
but we'll see.
Eagles Buccaneers. I want to say
Eagles.
the Eagles are going to win this one, but I think they might struggle.
Yeah, I think
I got the Eagles.
I'm gonna say Eagles, but if Baker continues to play like he has, with the way the Eagles defense has been kind of rocky starting off, it's not gonna be a shootout, but it's gonna be close. I don't think it's gonna be a runaway for the Eagles.
No, not a
But
runaway.
it'll be
but-
definitely
Question-
it'll definitely be
The question for
definitely be
me in
good.
this game is how good is the Bucks defense? That's
Yeah.
the big one.
And it's looked pretty decent, but I mean, the Eagles O line. I mean, there's a lot going for the Eagles in this game.
And I just realized there are another set of doubleheader Monday Night Football games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last one of the week. A rematch of a previous Super Bowl, Rams Bengals.
I got Rams in this one.
It hurts to say, but I think
it depends.
if the Rams continue, it's Rams in this one.
I think it might be Rams in this one, but if Burrow plays, I'm not sure if he should with that tweaked calf injury. Like he re-aggravated the thing. If he's good to go, then they stand a chance. If not, the Rams are winning all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on if Burrow, if the Bengals as a whole carry on from where they left off in the last game, where they kind of found their rhythm.
Yeah.
If they carry that into the next game, then there's a good chance
Yeah,
that
if
it'll
they
be
don't get a
close
slow
game.
start, they might be like they should pull it out. I think.
I'll pick the Bengals just to be different.
Of course.
I'm trying not to pick either one because there's too many like unknowns going into it. I want the Bengals to win, but if Burrow doesn't play or if he gets off to a slow start, then the Rams are going to run over him.
Yeah.
I think the Rams. I think the Rams will probably win, but I'm gonna pick the Bengals just in case.
Yeah.
And
The Rams
then
have just
I'll
been
take
too
my L if
consistent
the Rams
to
win.
start.
Yeah.
Well,
They've just been too consistent.
I believe that wraps it for this week. Oh man,
What's the deal with the doubleheader Monday night games?
I don't
I
know.
have no idea.
No, yeah, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, we've
Because next week there's only one Monday night game.
Interesting.
weird. Regardless
We'll
of any of
close
that
out
though.
with a song.
Oh, not again.
Make sure you like and subscribe, folks.
Football.
Oh, God.
Football.
All right, we're going.
Idiots in the eye form, folks.